What's going on, everybody? My name's GiraffeAnatomy, and this is another quick god guide for Smite. Today, the god we are looking at is Bacchus, the god of wine. He's a big boy, and I love him. So, right on time, right on time. So basically, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at some of his abilities. I'll teach you how to use them, kind of go into detail of what they do and how to use them effectively together. So hopefully by the end of this video, you're able to go into an arena game, joust / conquest, any of those, and learn how to play him effectively, right? You won't be like completely lost on what he does or maybe how to play him. So what we'll do is we'll get into jungle practice here. We'll choose the big man. And we will get into it. I'm going to use the default skin for you guys so you can just see kind of what his abilities look like naturally. And yeah, we'll get into it. So Bacchus is a guardian in Smite. So he's normally played as a support and in the duo lane. But he can be flexed into a solo or a jungle role. Like I said, you can build full power on him and then play him in the jungle. I've seen that before. Not very often, but it happens. And you can play more of like a hybrid, play him in solo lane. But really, those are like his secondary roles that you can flex him into, or if you're having fun, or if you're just memeing, or messing around in like a slasher and arena, right? You can build a little bit of power on him, and he will do damage when you build power on him. Like the way his kit's set up, you can definitely do a lot of damage. There's one-shot Bacchus builds out there. You could check him out. He'll flop on you, just ult you, destroy you, like burp you, stun you, smack you in the head with his chicken wing, and you're just done for, right? But his main role, and the way I'm going to talk about him today, is for support, right? So Bacchus, I think he really shines as a support, and he shines more of an aggressive support, right? Some supports like to peel enemies off of their carries and their mid laners. I think Bacchus shines a little bit more when you're a little more proactive as the support player. So if you're more of an aggressive support player, if you like going in and setting up those kills, especially early game, coming into lane, like coming into mid lane from the jungle, flopping on somebody, burping them, stunning them, right? That's where Bacchus is going to shine the most. And then your mid lane's following up and doing damage while you're doing that, right? So I think he shines more of as like an aggressive engager, right? More than like a peel god. So what we'll do is we'll talk about his passive. We'll get into his kit, talk a little bit more about this stuff. Let's talk about his passive first. It's called the Drunkometer. Bacchus loves the drink. It's that apple juice, guys, right? Bacchus loves the drink, and as Bacchus drinks from his jug, he becomes more intoxicated, gaining buffs when he gets tipsy and smashed. Bacchus also celebrates when he kills an enemy god, giving him 10% on his meter. So if you look over here on the left, this is his meter, right? This bottom one is the normal, this middle one is tipsy, and this top one is smashed. You almost always want to have your meter up here in the smashed, because if you do, you're gaining that extra 30 magical power and 10% damage mitigation. That's free stats for you to just always be up here, right? And then with tipsy, yeah, you get 10 and 5%, but you kind of want to try to get it up here as much as possible. So what I'm going to do, in case you didn't notice, without leveling anything up, I already start with my 1. So this is a unique thing about Bacchus. As we get into his first ability here, what we're going to do is we're going to go out here. And you can actually start the game without putting a point into Bacchus's 1. This is unique for him just because when you drink, it gives you 40% into your meter. And putting points only increases his protections and magical power, right? And you might not need that early game as much as you would need like wave clear and peel and stuff like that. So what you can do when you first level him up, so I am level 20, so I can start putting points in things. I can actually use his 1 right now without putting points into anything, and it will fill his meter up to 40%. So really quick, let's talk about his 1, and then I'll talk about how you can level up his abilities, right? So his first ability ties in with his passive, and his first ability is called Chug. Bacchus takes a drink from his jug, giving him additional buffs. Like, that's it. That's all his 1 is. But the good thing is you don't have to put a point into it. You can start with it for free, right? Every single match. So this allows you to basically put a point in something like your 3 right off the bat, right? So now you can clear wave with your 3 and help your teammates out, but you can still use your 1 to chug and start filling up your meter early game. So right when the game starts, when you're in fountain, start taking some chugs before the game starts. Try and get your meter up already, so you don't have to waste mana, and then maybe you can fill your mana out, right? Once you get up there. So with level 1, you don't have to put a point into it. Just chug it up. And then later on, I would recommend actually putting points into your like 3, then 2, and then your 3 again, and then your 5. And then once you get your ultimate, you can start putting points into your 1. That's normally how a lot of people play Bacchus. They kind of use the I don't have to put points in it right away to their advantage. They'll put points in it towards the end. They'll instead put points into their more damaging abilities and obviously get their ultimate first. And then once you're past like level 5, you can start putting some points into chug if you want. I see people try and max out their 3 first before even putting a point into it, because these protections and magical power, it'll matter late game. Early game, it doesn't matter as much. Like what you're getting out of this versus what you're getting out of like lane clear and peel for your teammates and stuff like that, right? So yeah, so let me do this. I'm gonna level everything up to 20 now that we've talked about how to level everything up. And we'll start talking about his abilities, right? So his chug, obviously, once you level it all the way up, nothing changes. It's always cost 20 mana. You're always going to get 40% on your meter here when you use chug. And if you're down at this line right here, that's like 60% is like right here. So if you chug at 60, you'll get up to full. And then always just keep an eye on your meter. Like I said, the whole game, just get in the habit of pressing 1 constantly, filling your meter up. Wait till it kind of gets down this line. Use a full chug to get your meter up to 100%, and always keep it in this section. So let's talk about Bacchus's 2, belly flop. Bacchus jumps into the air and, not so gracefully, comes slamming to the ground belly first, knocking all enemies into the air and dealing damage. If he is tipsy, all enemies are also slow after they land. So that's another reason to try and stay either tipsy here or smashed, right? So I'm at 60%, gonna press my 1 again, get back up to 100. If you're tipsy or smashed, when he belly flops on somebody, they are slowed for 2 seconds. So this is a great engage tool. I'll show you what it looks like. It's basically this circle here. So anyone within that circle that he hits, you can't get 2 of these guys just yet, but anyone within the circle that he hits, when he lands on them, they get knocked up and they're slowed, right? So it's a great beginning engagement tool for Bacchus. It's very simple, right? It's not too complex. It basically does damage. And if you're tipsy or above, you are also, you put a slow on them, right? So basically Bacchus uses this to engage a lot of the times. You can smack them and auto them while they're in the air, right? So make sure you're getting your autos in after you land on them. But this is your main engage tool. It's also an escape. You can leap over like walls and stuff with it too, so just know that you can do that with him. And yeah, his 2 is pretty simple. There's not really too much more to explain about it, so let's get into Bacchus's 3. Bacchus's 3 is called Belch of the Gods. Bacchus lets out an obnoxiously loud belch, doing damage every 0.5 seconds for 2 seconds and reducing enemy healing. If he is tipsy, enemies are stunned for 1 second. Bacchus is immune to knockback for the duration. So this is actually like a really great tool. If you know enemy gods have knockbacks or something like that, you can channel this ability to not be knocked back, right? So that'll be abilities like Hercules is 1, or if Anher's like trying to impale you and stuff, if you're belching during that time, you're going to be immune to the knockback. It's kind of like Ares in his 3 when he's using like his fire on his shield, right? The most important thing, though, is if you are tipsy or above, you will stun them for 1 second, right? So what you want to do is, I'll show you what it looks like. It looks like you're in a cone here, right? And when you do it, even though I'm tipsy, right? If you keep it on the enemy, at the end of it, they will get stunned. And this is an important thing. This is why you always want to keep your drunk meter up, because you want it at least in this box. So you can get these effects on these 2, right? You want the slows when you're attacking enemies. You also want the stun at the end of this, because this will help set up kills and things like that. You also do healing reduction, and you have 4 seconds of healing reduction, right? On enemy gods. So yeah, Basically, your combo with Bacchus is going to be like a 2-3 combo most of the time. You're going to jump in, auto, do your 3, and you're just going to be chunking and doing damage. And that's how you're going to set up most of these like aggressive team fights, right? Like you're going to identify an enemy, communicate with your mid, and basically try and flop on them and burp them, right? It's better to try and engage with the flop and then burp, because you can normally keep them within that cone and get that stun off, and they're slowed at the same time. It's a pretty good combo for him. But yeah, it's pretty simple. His kit isn't too complex. His cooldowns aren't that long, so if you build a little bit of cooldown on him, you can be flopping and doing this all the time. What I would recommend is you can try to save his like 2 to escape sometimes, but you're not really there to escape. Like I said, Bacchus is less of like a peeler and more of like an engager. So you would use it to engage and like burp people, right? And then like get in with your team. You can start with your 3 if you want. You can start with the burp and then flop them afterwards as well, or try and use it just to gauge the situation, right? So if you're starting an engagement and you 3 somebody, right, you can stun them and then flop them, right? And then if you stun them and their teammates are coming, you want to get out, you can then use your 2 to get out of the situation. But I like using my 2 first, because if I'm beefy and tanky enough, normally if I start with my 2, that means it'll be up sooner, so I can get out if I need to. So I'll start with the 2, smack them, do the 3, do this. My 2's already on cooldown, so hopefully it'll come up sooner when I need it, right, to get out once you're in the middle of a fight here. So let me go in here. Gonna get a little bit more mana, and then we'll talk about Bacchus's ultimate. He's a nice simple god to play. I think he's very beginner friendly. You can still do damage with him even if you're building him full tank, just because of his chug getting the magical power and protections, right? So you're able to do a lot. He's very simple, not too complex, but let's talk about his Intoxicate, his ultimate ability. Bacchus smashes his jug of wine on the ground, intoxicating all nearby enemies and doing damage. If he is smashed, Bacchus also gains a magical power buff because of his anger over his lost wine, right? So really what you want to do is you want to try and be smashed every time you use this ability. Smashed is the top box here, right? And then when you use this ability, if you hold it in, this is what it looks like. Any enemy god within this ability is going to get intoxicated, right? So they're going to do the damage of 510 once it's fully leveled, right? You're going to give them the intoxication debuff for 6 seconds, and you also get that magical power buff for 5 seconds if you're in smashed mode, right? So yeah, so I'll show you what this looks like. Make sure I'm fully smashed, and then what we'll do, we'll intoxicate them. So basically they just wobble around a little bit. It's kind of like a tremble sort of, but yeah, when they're intoxicated, they wobble around a little bit. You do a lot of damage with them. It's hard for them to move, so it's a good idea to try and when using this ability, let's get over here. I'm going to reset my cooldowns so we have it. When using this ability in conjunction with your other abilities, you can either walk up to them and start with the alt and then start wailing on them, or if you need to like quickly close the gap, Blink is a good rune on him. I'll just preface this, right? Blink is a good rune just because of his engagement and the way you can like quickly like blink in, alt somebody, smack them, start stunning them, right? Belly flop on them. That's a lot of CC for somebody, and if your mage or your ADC is there backing you up, you're going to shred somebody with this type of combo, right? So it's a lot of damage and you're a lot of CC for them right there, right? So if you use Blink, you can use Blink to engage on him. If you don't get Blink, it's not necessary on him because he has this leap. You can actually engage with your leap first. So you can start by leaping, then do your Intoxicate while they're in the air, so they have no choice but to just take it, right? So it's actually a really great engagement tool using your leap first, because while they're in the air, you can basically get a free alt off on them. So I'll show you one more time. You do this, right? While they're in the air, they can't do anything about it. They just get intoxicated, and then you use your 3. So that's really how you use this kit. You either engage with this 2 or like a Blink intoxicate right away, and then you use the rest of your kit on them, and you will do damage. And if your team's following up on that, you will do you'll do a lot of stuff. I think he's very new player friendly. His kit is super simple. It's basically some damage with some protections and buffs mixed in, obviously some CC as well. There really isn't much else to elaborate on. Just make sure you're chugging down that wine as much as possible during the games. What I can say is you can build certain things on him to make him very tanky. Like Pridwin goes very well with him because you're engaging in the team fights and you're ulting. When you ult, you get Pridwin's shield, right? That's a very good thing. Plus, it's giving him 20% cooldown. So you can start with like a Gauntlet of Thieves and go straight into Pridwin after that. If you're having mana problems, you can get like a Breastplate of Valor. With just Pridwin and Breastplate of Valor, you're at 40% cooldown. You don't need anything else. Pestilence obviously is like a good magical defense item that you can use, and anti-heal is like super important, and Bacchus really helps with the anti-heal, right? By getting a Pestilence as well. So you can build things like that. Some more fun things to build on him are like Void Stone, like the Mystical Mail, the Pythagoras piece. You're always going to be aggressive, like in their face. So if you're building items like this, you're going to be doing more damage to them while still being tanky, right? These are more like solo items and stuff like that, but even Mystical Mail, you're going to be around these enemies. You're going to be in their face. You're going to be smacking them around, knocking them up. Mystical Mail will do that extra damage for them. If you only do Gauntlet of Thieves and Pridwin and you skip out on the Breastplate, you can do something like a Sovereignty, then a Pestilence, then you can get like so if you're doing like a Sentinel's Gift, right? Oh, let me get in here. You got your Sentinel's Gift and your Gauntlet of Thebes and your Pridwin, right? You can do something like a Sovereignty. Where's it at? Sov is always like really good on him, right? You can actually build Sovereignty before Pridwin if you want to, but I like getting the cooldown like kind of early. And then you can build like your Pestilence, and then you can get like another cooldown item, right? They have a lot of attack speed. You can get something like a Witchblade. If they have crit, sometimes Spectral Armor is good. If they have 2 people or more with crit, you want to be in their face. You'll be taking a lot of damage. That'll be good. But getting like a Mantle of Discord is really good on him. You got a lot of cooldown with this type of build. You're going to get a lot of protections too. Once you get Gauntlet of Thebes like fully stacked, a lot of protections. A lot of health, right? You're pretty tanky. You'll still do some damage to these guys, even with a build like this, right? So yeah, so this is like a basic build on him. Something like this is fine. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If there's something else that I missed, feel free to leave a comment down below and let me know if you guys have any other tips or tricks for Bacchus that'll help other people like learn him. And in case you guys didn't know, we run a Discord called the Smite Dojo. Feel free to join it. The link is in the description below. We're very new player friendly. We like seeing new players come in, learn about gods. We have mentors that are like Diamond and Masters level that can give you actual good advice. And you know it's good advice because it's coming from them, right? We're not just a bunch of like random people that are gold, like thinking that we're good and stuff like that. Like I made sure most of our mentors are like vetted and things like that, right? So you can always come in, get advice from them. They're better players than I am, right? They're much better. They've been playing the game for like a longer time and stuff. So get actual advice from people that are good at the game. And then we do like one-on-one training sessions, Conquest 101 training sessions, right? We'll do God training sessions, even if you just want to do like positioning and gameplay and work through something you've been trying to work on. Like we do all that stuff on the server, so feel free to join us. And if you guys haven't yet, subscribe, like the video. I will be coming out with a quick god guide for every single god in Smite, so stay tuned for that. We're on the B's now. Eventually we'll get to Z. Almost there. Not really. It'll take a while, but they're coming. Doing a couple every other day and stuff like that. So thank you guys very much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Have a great day.